A president's cabinet should be filled with the brightest legal minds. But what unfolded in this hearing was the opposite. It was a parade of nominees struggling to answer the simplest question: should the government obey the law? The American people watching saw something stunning. Instead of clear commitments to the Constitution, they heard hedging, stammering, and legal tap dancing around the most basic principle of justice. Senator Adam Schiff cut through the fog with one relentless approach: yes or no. No speeches, no long explanations, just the core of the issue.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ms. Bondi, as you know, the Supreme Court in Trump versus United States held the president has absolute immunity to commit crimes in certain core areas of the president's responsibility. One of those core areas is the Justice Department. So in a breathtakingly dangerous and irresponsible decision, Justice Roberts and the majority held the president can commit crimes using the Department of Justice and be immune from prosecution. Justice Sotomayor correctly said this new immunity lies about like a loaded weapon. So the fear and the concern we have is that the incoming president will use that loaded weapon, that immunity, to commit crimes through the Department of Justice. And for that reason, it is all the more important that we have an attorney general who has the independence, the strength, the intestinal fortitude to say no to the president when it is necessary. So my first set of questions has to do whether you have the independence to say no when you must say no. And you can say this is hypothetical, but it is not hypothetical. So let me start with one very specific non-hypothetical. The president has said Jack Smith should go to jail. Will you investigate Jack Smith?
Senator, I haven't seen the file. I haven't seen the investigation. I haven't looked at anything. It would be irresponsible of me to make a commitment regarding anything without, you're a long practicing attorney, without looking at a file.
So you would need a factual predicate to open an investigation of Jack Smith, is that right?
Not a summary by you sitting here. Yes, sir.
And not a summary by the president either, right?
Absolutely.
So a summary by the president or his desire to investigate Jack Smith would not be enough for you to open an investigation of Jack Smith, is that right?
I will look at the facts and evidence in any case. And sitting here
today,
Senator, 72% of Americans
I only have 7
lost
minutes.
faith in the Department of Justice.
Sitting here today, are you aware of any factual predicate to investigate Jack Smith? Sitting here today, yes or no?
Senator, I will look at the facts and the circumstances.
You can't answer that question.
Brought to me.
You're not a part of the department yet. There's no worry about divulging
I'm sitting
law
here as a
enforcement
nominee.
sensitive information. So just tell us,
are you aware?
Just tell us, are you aware of a factual predicate to investigate Jack Smith? Yes or no?
Senator, what I'm hearing on the news
are
is
you
horrible.
aware of a?
Do I know if he committed a crime? I have not.
You seem reluctant to answer a simple question. Let me ask you a different simple question. The president also wants to jail Liz Cheney. Sitting here today, are you aware of any factual basis to investigate Liz Cheney? Yes or no?
Senator, that's a hypothetical, and I'm not going to answer that question.
No, it's not hypothetical. I'm asking you, sitting here today, whether you are aware of a factual predicate to investigate Liz Cheney.
Senator, no one has
Based on
asked
what you
me
know.
to investigate Liz Cheney. That is a hypothetical.
The president has called for it publicly. You are aware of that, aren't you?
No one has asked me to investigate.
But the president
Liz.
has
We're
called,
also worried about Liz Cheney,
the
Senator.
president has
you know what
called
we
for
should
this.
be worried about?
Ms. Bondi,
the
please
crime rate
answer
in
my
California
questions.
right now
You are
is
aware,
through the roof.
Ms. Bondi,
Your robberies
Ms.
are
Bondi,
87% higher than the national average.
My question is this.
That's what I want to be focused on, Senator.
Do you have the power to say no to the president?
General.
And what you're suggesting today by your non-answer is you don't have the independence to say no to the president. So let me ask you a different question. It also requires you, if you're going to be a good attorney general, to be able to tell hard truths to the president. So my questions now are, can you tell hard truths to the president? So let me start with an easy truth that you could speak to the president. Can you tell us, can you tell him that Donald Trump lost the 2020 election? Can you say that? Do you have the independence to say that? Do you have the gravitas, the stature, the intestinal fortitude to say Donald Trump you lost the 2020 election. Can you tell us that here today?
Senator, what I can tell you is I will never play politics. You're trying to engage me in a gotcha. I
No,
won't
I'm just
do it.
asking you a simple
I
question.
won't play
If you can
politics
speak truth
with any
to
ongoing
power.
investigation,
So let me ask you another.
like you did
let
leaking
me-
your
let me ask
colleague
you-
Devin Nunes's memo.
If you can't answer the question, let me ask you a different, what should be a simple truth, not a hard one. Was there massive fraud affecting the result of the 2020 election, yes or no?
Senator, I'm glad you asked that question, if you'll let me answer what I saw in Pennsylvania.
No, I asked a simple question about massive fraud.
I can only tell you what I saw in
No, I know you want to
Pennsylvania.
answer a different question, but my question is, can you tell us whether there was massive fraud affecting the results of the 2020 election, yes or no? Was there
I
or
can
was there
tell
not?
you what I saw when I went as
That's
an
not my,
advocate
that's
to
not
the
my
campaign.
question. So you can't answer that question. You can't speak that even easy truth to us, let alone to the president. So let me ask you a different question. It will also be important that you give good advice to the president. Are you prepared to advise the president not to pardon people who beat police officers?
Senator, as I said, the pardons are at the direction of the president. We will look and we will advise. I will look at every case on a case.
so
Let
you'll
me
look
finish
at-
on a case-by-case
Okay,
basis.
okay, good.
And I
let me
abhor violence to police officers.
follow up with that. So will it be your advice to the president, Mr. President, I know you said you want to issue hundreds of pardons on day one. Will it be your advice to the president? No, Mr. President, I need to go over them on a case-by-case basis. Do not issue blanket pardons. Will that be your advice to the president?
Senator, I have not looked at any of those files. If confirmed, I will look at the files
And
for
will
the
you be able to
pardons, as well
will
as
you
the
be able to
ongoing
review
investigation.
hundreds of cases on day one?
I will look at every file I am
Of
asked
course you
to
won't.
look
So
at.
will you advise the
Hey,
president?
can I
will
answer
you-
the question?
Well, my question
I
is-
would have plenty of staff. You said, of course you want.
You'll be able to review
Listen, I'm
hundreds
not
of
going to
cases on the first day?
mislead this body nor you.
All right, let me ask another question. You don't want to answer that. Let me ask
You were
another question.
censured by
It will
Congress, Senator, for
it will
comments just
also-
like this that
it
are
will
so reckless.
It will also be important for you to be able to preserve the records, the evidence of the department. Are you ready to commit that none of the evidence in the January 6th investigation will be destroyed under your watch?
Senator, I will follow the law. I will consult with ethical officials in the
Do you
department.
see any ethical basis to destroy evidence in the January 6th investigation? Then why can't you answer the question? Why can't you say, I commit to this committee, we will never destroy the evidence in the January 6th investigation? Why can't you give this committee and the American people that assurance?
Are you frightened because evidence was destroyed against President Trump that was false? Is that why you're
Why do
frightened
you
now?
have
I can't
difficulty?
believe this is even.
Why do you have difficulty answering that question?
I can't believe
Why do you
you're
have
asking such a
difficulty?
question.
Why do you have difficulty promising to preserve evidence at the Department of Justice? Why is that a difficult question?
I will follow the law.
It shouldn't be a difficult question.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ms. Bondi, I know that you are pleased that we are moving to the end of round one, and we appreciate your being here.
Would you ever advise the administration to ignore a court order because you thought a higher court might later overturn it? The fact that nominees for the nation's highest legal positions couldn't give a straight answer sent shockwaves through the room. And in that moment, Schiff wasn't just questioning their judgment. He was exposing the rot at the very core of the Justice Department. What made this moment even more powerful was how Schiff handled it. He gave them every opportunity to be clear, to honor the oath they were preparing to take. Instead, they stumbled. I don't want to speculate. It depends. I can't see a situation. Schiff repeated the question again and again, stripping away excuses until the truth was unavoidable. These nominees were either unwilling or unable to affirm something that should be instinctive for any lawyer, that the rule of law is not optional. And that failure led Schiff directly to one name that has become synonymous with the department's collapse: Attorney General Pam Bondi. Bondi has not served as a guardian of the Constitution, but as its betrayer. Her job description might read Chief Law Enforcement Officer, but in practice she's acted as a political shield, twisting the Justice Department into a weapon for power instead of a defender of justice. Schiff's questioning cut through her legacy of excuses. Rather than safeguarding the rule of law, Bondi has turned it into a bargaining chip. She has defended the indefensible, dodged accountability, and in doing so, revealed just how fragile the system becomes when loyalty replaces integrity. The yes or no questions mattered because they went straight to the heart of democracy. Imagine a country where leaders simply disregard court orders they don't like. That's not the rule of law. It's chaos disguised as authority. Schiff's insistence on clarity forced every nominee to confront that uncomfortable truth. And Bondi, sitting atop this crumbling edifice, became the symbol of how deeply corrupted the Justice Department has become under her watch. But Schiff didn't stop with questions about court orders. He pressed further, testing the nominees on whether they even understood the basics of constitutional law. He asked, would it be unlawful for a president to accept a gift from a foreign government without the consent of Congress? This is black-letter law. Article 1, Section 9 of the Constitution leaves no room for debate. And yet, the answers he got were evasive, hedged, wrapped in the kind of pseudo-legal jargon meant to confuse rather than clarify. Well, it depends. I'd want to see the facts. Schiff snapped back with the obvious truth. The Constitution doesn't say maybe. It doesn't say sometimes. It says no person holding office shall accept such gifts without consent. Period. The hypocrisy of those who claim to worship the Constitution while disregarding its plain words was on full display. Schiff's frustration mirrored the frustration of millions watching. How can people who wave the document around like a holy relic suddenly treat it as optional when power is at stake? Bondi's Justice Department has operated on exactly that principle. Law for the weak, loopholes for the powerful. It's a betrayal that corrodes faith in the system itself. And this double standard doesn't exist in isolation. It is part of a much bigger pattern. Think back to how quickly the same political voices screamed about fabricated scandals involving their opponents. They called rivals a crime family, hurled accusations without evidence, and tried to build entire impeachment cases on smoke and mirrors. Representative Jared Moskowitz reminded the country that their so-called case collapsed under its own weight because there was no substance behind it. Yet those same voices, so loud when it came to unproven rumors, are silent when real corruption, real legal violations, and real constitutional abuses happen before their eyes. That silence speaks volumes. What Schiff exposed in that hearing wasn't just the weakness of a few nominees. It was the hollowness of an entire political movement built not on the rule of law, but on raw power. They shout law and order until it inconveniences them. They clutch the Constitution until its plain text limits their ambitions. Then they look the other way. Schiff, by contrast, reminded the country what accountability sounds like. And the silence grows even louder when you look at the condition of the leadership that Bondi and others have chosen to protect. Public appearances filled with incoherent rants, social media tirades in all caps, and sudden reversals on major policies have become routine. News anchors like Chris Hayes have started asking the obvious. Why is all the scrutiny about mental sharpness directed one way when the evidence of decline is glaring in another direction? The erratic speeches, the constant back and forth on tariffs, taxes, and healthcare, they don't reveal strategy, they reveal instability. It's a portrait of someone unsteady at the wheel of the most powerful government in the world. The consequences of that instability ripple through every policy. Tariffs slapped on one day, pulled back the next. A promise not to touch Medicaid, followed days later by cuts. Taxes raised, then reversed. Foreign policy shaped by personal grudges rather than national interest. Schiff's interrogation of Bondi's nominees wasn't just about court orders. It was about whether the government itself has any anchor in law, reason, or stability. And under Bondi's watch, the answer is increasingly no. Why? Because the cabinet wasn't built to govern. It was built to obey. Bondi, Pete Hegseth, Kristi Noem, these weren't chosen for competence. They were chosen for loyalty. They were handpicked not to uphold the Constitution, but to surrender their judgment to a single man's whims. Schiff's hearing put that fact in stark relief. Every stammer, every dodge, every "it depends" revealed the truth. The Justice Department is no longer a bulwark against abuse, but a shield for it. That's why Schiff's line of questioning hit so hard. It wasn't about catching someone in a mistake. It was about exposing the entire system Bondi represents. A system where corruption isn't hidden but flaunted. Where incompetence isn't a flaw but a requirement. Where the law is not a guide but a weapon used only against enemies. This isn't governance. It's a circus. And at the center of it is a Justice Department hollowed out by loyalty tests and stripped of its purpose. The bigger picture is terrifying. When officials can't say yes or no to whether court orders must be followed, democracy itself is at risk. The rule of law is supposed to be the foundation of freedom, but Bondi and her circle have turned it into quicksand. Every dodge, every half-answer, every betrayal of plain constitutional text erodes public trust. Schiff's relentless pursuit of clarity showed just how dangerous that erosion has become. And here's the uncomfortable truth. This isn't just about one hearing, or one attorney general, or even one administration. It's about whether the country will accept a future where the law bends to power instead of power bending to law. Schiff's confrontation was more than a clash of personalities. It was a warning siren. If nominees can't affirm the basics of constitutional duty, then the system is breaking in real time. That's why this channel exists. To confront the lies, to expose the betrayals, and to remind people that silence is complicity. When Bondi treats the Justice Department like a personal law firm, when nominees can't promise to uphold court orders, when constitutional limits are brushed aside as it depends, we can't look away. We have to speak, we have to challenge, and we have to demand better. Let's be clear. Adam Schiff's takedown wasn't just about embarrassing a few unqualified nominees. It was about showing the American people what's at stake, a government either bound by law or consumed by lawlessness. The difference between those two futures depends on whether we hold leaders accountable right now. If you believe in accountability, if you believe the Constitution should mean something, then this is your fight too. Don't let them normalize corruption. Don't let them pretend incompetence is strength. Stay loud, stay vigilant, and never stop demanding the truth. If you found this breakdown valuable, hit that like button. Subscribe for more unfiltered analysis. And drop a comment with your thoughts. We want to hear what you think about this hearing, about Bondi's failures, and about the fight for accountability. Together, we can shine a light where those in power would rather keep us in the dark. Until next time, stay bold, stay vigilant, and never stop demanding better.